Welcome into Top Shelf, presented by Enterprise. Big trips, sudden detours, or last-minute plans. Whatever it is, we're here for it. Episode 5, fellas. Same crew as... Not same crew as always. Wow, I caught myself there. That's crazy.
Getting right into it.
Host Levi Smith, Kyle, John, and Josh in to replace Aiden for the foreseeable future. So happy to have Josh. If you guys remember, last season he filled in a bunch and mopped the floor in trivia. I think you guys remember that. The people back home, just to let you know, he's a puck head. But 5 weeks-ish into the season here, and what we're doing today, we're kind of throwing Josh like straight to the dogs, which I love. Early season debates. So I've got 6 topics here. You guys are going to go head-to-head on each side of these topics, and I'm going to award a point after each. I've kind of taken a step back throughout kind of... I didn't want to look at the topics too much, and I wanted to let you guys cook. And so I'm going to, like I said, give out points just kind of based on what I hear. So I hope you brought your debate minds to the table today. That's the best way I can put it. So we're just going to get right into it, and we're going to get in with Josh. First appearance here this new season. He's going to tell me why the Colorado Avalanche are the only flawless contender. Just before you get into it, too, I should preface, 90 seconds on the clock. The lights are going to go red when you're done. You got 90 seconds to make your pitch, and then 90 seconds on the counter. So we'll have the timer start now. Josh, go ahead and tell me.
Yeah, the Avalanche honestly just have no holes. Really deep down the middle of the ice. They're big, they're fast, 4 good lines. Brent Burns has added another element to that defense. And he's still good, and he's hungry for that cup. In net, they haven't even had Mackenzie Blackwood for once. They've had him for 1 start this year. And if he comes back, look out. And to me, it's more about, I have questions about all the other teams that are perceived contenders. The Golden Knights, their blue line scares me a bit without Alex Pietrangelo. Not as deep there. I really think they need an addition. Maybe Rasmus Anderson at some point. But right now, their blue line scares me. Carolina, the goaltending is frightening, I think. Freddie Anderson's hurt, or always hurt. Same with Pyotr Kochetkov. And then you get to a team like the Florida Panthers. We don't know if Alexander Barkov is going to be back. So, yeah, to me, the Avalanche are clear-cut the best team in the NHL.
Okay, there you go. Tight 90 seconds. John, it's your rebuttal.
Okay, I'm going to cling on to this flawless word. So, okay, Colorado, are they flawless? I would argue they're not based on the goaltending. And yes, Scott Wedgwood, great start to the season. But, we talked about Alex Lyon last week, like this kind of magical start for a 30-something journeyman. I feel a lot of the same vibes from Scott Wedgwood. And, he's one of the good guys in the game, not to slag on the guy. But, I don't see him as a number 1 goalie. And then, as you mentioned, Blackwood is on its way back. Pedigree off the charts. The goalie community loves him. But I have yet to see him sort of really take the reins as a number 1 guy. And he didn't play well in the playoffs last year. So I feel like even though their defensive environment is very good, even though, as you mentioned, the offense is high octane to the nth degree, I have minor issues with the goaltending. So there's that, the Colorado part of it. And then to go to the rest of the league, I would actually argue that Dallas is the most complete team in the NHL. Is the record there right now? No. But I think if you look up and down the lineup, a high-end top of the lineup, a really strong second tier, and good depth. Obviously, Ottinger and net, that's fantastic. And I feel like the big question about them last year was what was going on with the blue line past, Harley and Heiskanen. I feel like Leon Bischel has answered some of those questions. And I think even Harley becoming this real thoroughbred and being arguably as good as Heiskanen, maybe better, sort of erases those problems. So I actually would argue that the Stars are the most flawless team in the NHL.
Interesting. Okay. The 2 points are in. I think, let me think. I was listening very attentively. I think I want to go with Josh. Josh gets on the show and gets a point right out the bat, solely for the fact that I like that you pointed out the other contenders. You could throw the Stars in the mix, you didn't even get to them, but just that they've kind of been slow at the gate. But it's true. The teams right now at the top of the standings, the Avalanche have the most points in the league, and then you have the Penguins, the Red Wings and stuff. So he didn't even care about those. He just went to the teams that should be there, who also aren't there. And I agree. I think that to be this good without the goaltending being fully there yet is incredible. And I don't know who keeps up with the Avs. They have the winning pedigree, that's for sure. Point Josh. On to our next debate topic. This time you get to really put your stake in the ground here, John. The Montreal Canadiens, we cannot take them seriously until they have the 2C fixed.
Yeah, so second line center I see is a pretty major issue for the Habs right now. And let me first preface this by saying 9-3-0, first in the Atlantic, vibes off the charts. Like, I have a lot of stock in the Montreal Canadiens generally, but in terms of them going from just like, wild card team, maybe third in the Atlantic, sort of just a playoff team, to winning multiple rounds, I feel like they really need to fix their center depth. I think Nick Suzuki has become an elite first-line center. I think that Jake Evans at the bottom of their center depth is very good, like fourth-line center, maybe third in a pinch. But after that, I'm really concerned with Doc. He's unreliable health-wise and even on the ice, like kind of inconsistent. I would like to see a lot more from him. And then you've got Ivan Demidov playing with Alex Newhook and Oliver Kapanen. Fine players, but Demidov needs like a real center. And the reason why he's playing 13 minutes a night right now is in part because they don't really trust the other guys on his line. So it's really tough for me to, sort of like hitch my wagon to the Habs as like a true contender when I feel like their center depth is just really lacking. And it has that knock-on effect of Demidov not playing as much as he should. Because, well, let's face it, like they don't trust Demidov defensively yet, and also he's not quite driving a line yet, so he needs support. Will he get there where he drives a line by himself? Yes, but he's not there yet, and Kapanen and Newhook aren't it at this point in time.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I mean, it's hard to argue with that. It is something like underrated of just about the development of a young winger like Demidov. Like, I think people take it way too for granted, like the importance of just having, it doesn't even need to be like a stud at center, but just a guy that can facilitate the offense a bit more or play defense. Like, good point by John is what I'll say. Kyle, you have the rebuttal. How would you go against this point made by John here?
Well, you said it's hard to argue. I don't think it is, because what team in the NHL doesn't have holes? Like, we just talked a little bit about the Avalanche, and the point that you made is that even a team that you might consider flawless still kind of has some flaws. And for a team like the Habs, where you mentioned some of the center depth there, and sure, the second-line center is a big question mark, but outside of that, you mentioned it. Jake Evans, I think, is one of the elite fourth-line centers in the league, and Oliver Kapanen, I think, has been a pleasant surprise early this season. I don't think the Demidov stuff is necessarily due to the trust around him. I think it's just more to him being in his first, 15 games in the NHL and being a player that, as great as he is offensively, isn't really a guy you trust all that much defensively at 5-on-5 yet. I'm sure that's a learning curve that he'll get over. But when it comes to the Habs, you have the forward depth there. There's a lot of pieces that you like, and then you have the elite first line. So you have the depth there, even if there is that hole in that second line center spot, as important as that is. And then I look at the elite defense that they've put together, and it's been without Caden Gooley these recent weeks. And you have this well-rounded group. You have offense from the back end. You have some well-rounded defensive guys as well, in Gooley and Matheson, who's really impressed early this season. And then when Montembeault has been terrible to start the season, Jakub Dobej steps up and looks like a Vezina candidate. So I put all of that together, and to me, even though there's a hole there pretty clearly in the forward lineup, what team doesn't have some kind of hole, whether it's their offensive depth or a lack of blue line talent or question marks in goal? For me, I look at the Habs and I look at everything that's going for them in addition to those positive vibes. I think they're fine without that 2C right now.
We hit the time limit. All right, this one, I'm having a tough time with this one because I like both of the stances, and Kyle does have kind of the luxury of, like, the Habs are where they are right now without this 2C depth. But I'm going to go with John. I think John gets the point here just because of what you said and the fact that, like, come playoff time, like, that's obviously when you would like to take a team the most seriously. And for them to be a young team and still getting their feet wet with that, that's something that they need. And I think they can go out and get it.
Yeah, but they can go shopping for sure.
Like who would you
O'Reilly,
Kadri.
Dunno. Like, I don't know if any of these guys are actually available, maybe beyond Kadri, but there'll be some guys there that really like unlock something.
Kadri there would be
Right?
That would be fun to see. I think, oh man. All right, anyways. Our third topic of debate here. This one I am pumped up for because we got two Leafs guys going against each other. Talking about the Leafs, Kyle, the Maple Leafs are too slow to contend. Please tell me why.
Man, this team is just boring to watch. Like last night, as we record this, that Pittsburgh game, the first two periods is some of the most atrocious hockey you've ever watched from the Toronto Maple Leafs. And then they put it together in the third period. This isn't to say the Leafs are a bad team. You can be a slow team and still be a very good team. But for me, I look at the style that the Leafs are trying to play under Craig Berube. They're trying to play this north-south game. I think you need to have some speed to be an effective team on the forecheck and make that game work, to be able to get in on the cycle and make that game work, given all the pieces that this team has. They're a bottom six team in terms of speed burst based on the NHL edge data. And I look at the teams that have that elite speed. I don't know if the Leafs can defend against that kind of team. And then I look at the other teams that are kind of slower, like a Dallas or even a Florida, and I just think they're worse than those kind of teams. So they're a worse version of the slower teams in the league. And then you have the elite skating teams in the league that I don't know if they have the pieces to keep up with. They have the ability to be a very good team still, but I just look at this group. I don't think they're one of the good slow teams in the league, and I don't think they can keep up with any of the fast teams in the league. I'm concerned about this group if they don't add any more speed throughout the season in terms of truly contending at the top of the league.
Okay, interesting. Bottom six team in speed burst. That's not something I thought
great.
I'd ever a stat. I didn't even know that stat existed. I'll be honest. That's
There you
why
go.
I'm the
NHL Edge.
host. Yeah.
NHL Edge. There's some good stuff there.
You guys are the experts here. Yeah. Okay. I like it. That's it. Speed is something that like you never really get to quantify it, I guess, until this day and age of hockey stats and stuff. But now that we have like numbers to back it up, it's a great point. I'd love to hear how you'd go against it, Josh, and tell me why a super slow team can still be good. 90 seconds, go ahead.
So obviously, I don't disagree. They're a slow team, like you said, with the NHL edge stats there. But they do have some guys who can burn. We forget William Nylander is one of the fastest players in the league. Bobby McMahon can really fly. But I think that's not the biggest issue in Toronto. That's what I'm going to argue. I think the issue is they don't play fast, because you can be a slow team, but play fast, play up tempo, and make things happen with your system. But I think, the problem is right now with Craig Berube is just no one's really buying in. I mean, last night they come out terrible the first 40 minutes. They're really good in the third. It shows you the type of the potential they can have when they are playing fast and are playing with speed. But it really comes down to, too, in the playoffs, it doesn't matter as much, in my opinion, the speed, because they let more obstruction fly, the game's more physical, and really you can be a small, really fast team and not do anything in the playoffs.
That's fair. I think the question is, so I agree with you don't need to be too fast in the playoffs. Where is this going to hurt them more? Are the Leafs going to make the playoffs being this slow-paced and even get in? Or if they do get it, like, I don't know. It's all over the place. I think, man, this is another tough one. I think I'm going to give the edge to Kyle. I gave all the protagonists here the win.
Protagonists.
I like that.
Is that the
Great
correct
word drop.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I like all these points that you guys made, and I do think that, speed, like I said, it's something that we can kind of measure now, and it's a serious issue.
I appreciate
for the Toronto Maple
Wegman's
Leafs.
pivot to slow, yes, but in a different way.
Yes.
It was a good try.
It was a good try, but we're through the first round here. Point for each of you, and I'll use this time right now before we get into the second round to say, if there's any ties here, there's a trivia at the end of this episode presented by Enterprise. And if there's ties, the winner will be decided there. So I guess I'm the one in control, so I'll dictate that. But
Are you gonna engineer a tie here?
no, I'm gonna listen to the points fair and square. But I do need to throw that out there. I mean, we're playing the trivia either way, so it should be interesting to see. On to the second round, and we're going back to you, Josh. We just talked about the Toronto Maple Leafs and who they played last night, Pittsburgh Penguins. I'll be honest, after the first two periods, I was so ready to come in here, guns blazing. Pens are the real deal. The Leafs are not. So for them to turn that ship around was nice to see. But Josh, tell me why the Pittsburgh Penguins will continue to stay in the playoff hunt all year. I can't wait for this.
Again, I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs necessarily, but I think they'll stay in that mix throughout the year and not get to the bottom of the standings like everyone's sort of thinking. I think they'll stay in that hunt. The East is so tight. And I think Dan Muse has been a revelation, and it's exactly what they needed. A new, young coach, fresh ideas. He's getting the most out of the younger players they have there. He's reinvigorating some of the veterans. Sidney Crosby's playing great. Carlson's been pretty good. Letang's been fine. Evgeny Malkin has been amazing, and that is why I think they can stay in that hunt. This could be Malkin's last year. He hasn't come out and said it yet. But something like that can really get a dressing room going and really get guys playing for one another, knowing this might be the last season of one of the all-time greats. And I think that can keep them together and keep them in the hunt throughout the year. Maybe it's a bit of magic, but I think it can happen.
I don't mind it. I feel bad chipping in after each of these points because I want to. it's going to bolster the argument too much. But I will say the magic element is for sure a thing, and we saw it with the Caps last year in Ovi. I think that. How many wins do you think Ovi's goal chase got the Washington Capitals?
Yeah, good
Right?
point.
100%.
Yeah.
At least like 5 or 6 for sure. That was like the story of the NHL, and when you're a part of that, it's a lot of fun. So I don't think the Penguins being old exactly is the exact same push that the Caps got, but definitely a good point that you raised there. John, tell me why the Penguins won't be in the playoff hunt.
I would say, to start with Malkin, I think what he's doing is pretty unsustainable. Like, this is a guy that gets off to hot starts all the time. As a veteran, obviously in his prime, he was lights out all the time. But I just feel like that's, some fairy dust on him. And then you've got, like, Justin Brazeau with a bunch of goals, Anthony Mantha. These are guys that have kind of bounced around. And sure, they have the tools, but are they actual, like, top-line producers? I don't think so. Ben Kindle's obviously been a great story. But I just go back to, what this team looks like on paper. Like, they didn't come into the season trying to win whatsoever. If you look back on what Kyle Dubas has been doing since he got to Pittsburgh. And, the PDO is kind of out of control at this point. It's, I believe, they're 4th in the league in PDO, and I think it's, if I remember correctly off the top of my head, 4th highest shooting percentage, 3rd highest save percentage. That shooting percentage, whatever, it could be sustained over, like, half a season, but that save percentage with Tristan Jarry and Arthur Seeloff, I just do not see that lasting very long. I think that they are a bottom 5 tandem versus a top 5 tandem that they've shown so far. Like, I think the bottom's really going to fall out of the goaltending there. So I just think it's kind of a nice run here. But if it had happened in the middle of the season versus the start of the season, we just go, the Penguins have a nice little, 13-game situation here, but they are what they are. I think it's kind of one of those situations. And they've lost 4 of the last 6 anyway. They're already sort of on the decline. So hunt is kind of a tough word to, put numbers on, but I think that they'll be 10 points or worse out of the playoffs.
Okay.
So I don't think that's quite hunt at this point. Like, they've given themselves some runway here, but I don't believe in them at all.
Okay. There's the red light. Oh man, I think I'm gonna have to take John's side on this one. I think.
Oh, he's finally a hater.
I'm starting to hate. And it's not. It was a steep hill for Josh to climb. It felt like, and
Yes.
the numbers were clearly on one side, where everything is going as good as possible for this Penguins team. Maybe they won't ever regress, but it's hard to go again. Men lie, women lie, numbers never lie. And so the numbers are lying right now, and I think they're
guy's
What a
spitting.
great line.
I think they're going to come all the way back down. So I'm going to give John the point, and I'm going to give him a new catchy saying to say once he starts to get in the numbers. But that's 2 for John, 1 for the other guys. On to debate topic 5. John, you're leading the charge on this one. The Utah Mammoth have been awesome to start the year. Utah is the West's next powerhouse. Tell me why.
So I see them as sort of the Montreal Canadiens of the East in terms of they're going to make the playoffs this year. Are they going to go far in the playoffs this year? I'm less confident in that, but I am really confident in their future. They have $45.
That's not much cap
That's
space.
not a lot of money. $45 million locked up in 6 key core players. Keller, Cooley, Gunther, etc. That's moving forward. Like, that's into the future. That's nothing against the cap these days, especially as it continues to climb. The most recent one, Cooley signing for $10 million times 8 years. That's already a pretty good deal. Like, he's probably a $10 million player as is. Mm-hmm. So that's only going to get better. So they have tons of cap flexibility. I think that their top 6 with the amount of skill in there is good enough to sort of become a contender, a perennial contender. And then you've got guys like Sergachev, Vejmelka's also part of that core. And I feel like they have enough draft capital still. They haven't, like, emptied out their draft capital. They have enough top-end prospects. Even Simachev, who's a rookie this year, looks good. Daniil Boo is going to be in the NHL at some point this year. T.J. Ginla, Caleb Desnoyers. Like, they still have a lot of guys coming. So I feel very confident in them being sort of the next team in the West. You could argue Anaheim, but I would say that the problem with Anaheim is that they have played hardball with their young players, and it's going to come back to bite them in terms of bridge deals or getting rid of Zegras and Drysdale, and I feel like I'm missing someone else. But they've just sort of taken a different tact. They haven't gone long enough with their young players, and that's going to come back to haunt them moving forward.
Okay. Very, very reputable answer there. I think, there's a lot to like in Utah. Kyle, can you tell me why there isn't a lot to like in Utah.
Well, I'll start by saying there is a lot to like in Utah.
Okay.
But the key word here is powerhouse. There's a difference to me between being a perennial contender, a team that's in the mix every year and makes the playoffs every year, and being a powerhouse. Did we talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs as a powerhouse? They have the active longest playoff streak. There's a difference between being a powerhouse and being that perennial contender. For me, out of all those players you mentioned, there's a lot of great talent. They're going to be a very good team for a very long time. You mentioned 2 defensemen in that entire spiel that you had there. Simashev, great player. Sergachev, great player. I worry about the defense coming up behind them. And as we go into this new era of NHL where there's seemingly going to be less top free agents and more teams have the ability to spend, how realistic is it to go out and get those Mikhail Sergachevs that they did through trade going into the future when teams can more readily be able to keep their players and pay their players? That's the one thing I'm concerned about. I'm not bought in on Karel Vejmelka and net. I'm worried about their defensive depth coming up, even though they have 1 or 2 good pieces coming up. They've got great forwards right now. They've got the high-end forwards. They've got prospects coming up at forward, but I don't think that they have the defensive depth or the locked-in, surefire goaltending to be this powerhouse year in, year out, the team that is always in the conference final, that's always going to the Stanley Cup finals. Powerhouse is the key word for me. Year in, year out playoff team, absolutely. Powerhouse, not so much for me just yet. I need to see it before I believe it in terms of the powerhouse label.
I think I have to give the cake here to Kyle solely for that Leafs correlation because
was a
it's
good
true.
reference.
It's true. Nobody's sitting around calling the Toronto Maple Leafs a powerhouse. They're in the playoffs every single year, but they suck in the playoffs. Like, say it as it is.
Regular
So
season powerhouse.
regular
Yeah.
season, regular season.
We
You
can
know
say
what?
that for
But, like,
sure.
even then, the Leafs aren't... I don't know.
They haven't won the President's Trophy.
Yeah.
No, I agree. So yeah. We could have probably, like, you set yourself up a little bit for failure, John, and just saying like the West next powerhouse is hot and big shit.
It also hurts me to hate on the Utah Maple. They're such a fun
they
team.
are so
but
fun. Yeah.
gotta take a step to be a powerhouse.
I agree, and especially in hockey to be a powerhouse, like you don't see it often at all. Like even the teams,
Very select.
There's 32 teams now. It is
32
it is
teams,
tough.
and the teams we saw, like we talked about this last show, but the teams who even have our perennial President's Trophies winners, like they'll get their cup, but still, like you can be awesome in the regular season and have nothing pan out. I will say though, like credit to what Ryan Smith is doing too as the owner.
Yeah.
and just
Very fun.
giving them like here, I want this team to be good. It's weird to see like the positive feedback about it because you'd imagine every owner would be like that. Oh, I want to win, but
Right?
that's not the case.
Well, and one thing I forgot to mention, and I
Oh,
guess
here we go.
No.
Here we
I'm
go.
I
know. I got
Points
I'm
been
admitting
awarded.
that this does not count, but like the way the NHL is trending with the cap going up, there's going to be teams, and like an assistant general manager told me this recently. Like there's going to be teams that are going to have internal caps as recently or as soon as 2 years from now. So I think that Utah won't be one of those teams, like based on sort of what he's been providing that team so far. So when the cap gets to 120, are they one of 10 teams actually going to the cap?
Yeah.
That's going to help them, especially
Seems
when
like
they have,
yeah.
the core locked up at a low number. They can go, kind of big game hunting.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree with that. That probably would have helped your case a little bit.
I should have led with that.
Point stays with Kyle.
Yeah.
We've got our last topic here. Another fun one, a little ode to our good friend Aiden, who's not here anymore. We're still going to talk about the Calgary Flames,
Oh,
Aiden.
come on.
Don't worry, we're gonna hate on the Calgary Flames first.
We're going to talk about them. I didn't say it in a positive light, but Kyle, the Calgary Flames need to finish last. Can you tell me why that is?
Yeah, the key word here for me is need. There's lots of teams in the NHL that could benefit from finishing last, certainly, like a San Jose Sharks would love to add a Gavin McKenna or have the highest odds to land somebody like McKenna. For me, it's not even necessarily about the Gavin McKenna of it all, because you finished last, you still don't have the highest odds. You have the highest odds of all the teams, but it's still not in your favor in terms of the likelihood of landing a player like that. For me, it's the reality check of finishing last. There's lots of teams at the bottom of the NHL that know they're a bottom feeder in the NHL. I don't think the Flames going into the season knew they were that kind of team based off of last year. Maybe you go back, like 14 months or something like that, and maybe they were more in that headspace. They weren't in that headspace this offseason and coming into this season. It was much more positive, much higher expectations in terms of trying to be in that wild card hunt again. And I think the reality check of finishing dead last, not like 31st, not 30th, dead last, would impact the future of this franchise more than any other franchise, because then you're selling off assets this season. You're getting another high-end prospect or one of your first high-end prospects because they've had some decent picks, but nobody really at the top of the draft like that. I think that no team in the NHL would benefit more from the reality check and everything that comes positive and negative from finishing last in the NHL, quite like the Calgary Flames would this upcoming season.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it's hard to. I'm excited to see your rebuttal here, Josh, because it's true. The Calgary, I think, the most directionless team in hockey, like by a wide margin, especially with just a team with the pieces they have.
Last is a good direction to go for them then.
Exactly. It's never the worst idea. Josh, can you tell me why you don't think that they absolutely need to finish dead last?
I think it would help the Flames a lot. I think, yes, they need to
Great, we're set.
bottom out.
Okay.
But I think Craig Conroy has a better feel for what his team is. He hasn't been adding really anything. He's been keeping some of the vets with term, but once they bottom out a bit, but they can trade them. But the GM that's the most delusional in the league is Barry Trotz, because the Nashville Predators actually think they're kind of good, but they are awful. I mean, they had that one good run at the end of the year 2 years ago, squeaked into the playoffs, and then they go on that free agency splurge. They had Brady Shea and Steven Stamkos and Jonathan Marchessault. Even last year, they make that weird trade to get Nick Hague and pay him a bunch of money. They had some other guys like Nick Perbix. They need a reality check more than anyone, and the Nashville Predators have never had that game-breaking forward, and to have a chance to get someone like Gavin McKenna for their franchise would be massive. I mean, no offense to Philip Forsberg, like him a lot, but when he's the best forward in franchise history, that's kind of sad.
So you're saying that the rebuttal is, yeah, the Predators need it more than the Flames do.
Exactly.
Whew, man, it's a tough one because on one hand, again, shout out Aiden. How many times did he tell us? Oh, the Flames have never had a top 3, 4 pick ever, and they still managed.
I think their highest pick ever is Sam Bennett.
Yeah, Sam Bennett, who went is that
Third or fourth?
Fourth.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I mean, the Nashville Predators as a franchise have absolutely nothing. So it's a good rebuttal by
David Legwand disrespect, second overall legend.
You know what? For the sake of, I wasn't planning on engineering anything on the way into this, but I'm going to give the point to Josh. I
think it's fair. Both that could have gone either way.
I think so too, and I think they both really need it. I think the Flames are in a better spot to get it, but I think in terms of looking on paper and where these teams are going, I do think Nashville Predators probably need it a little bit more for their mentals, like just so that they can get on the right track. So we're through the 2 rounds. We're all tied at 2. Who could have seen this coming? But no, I love those debates. And like I said, I didn't know what you guys were going to say heading into this, so I listened to everything, and I took everything in. I think we're all square. So we have one last trivia or one last point to award, and I have the top shelf chain beside me just in case you guys need any more incentive. But John kind of keyed me into this. This Saturday is the latest installment of the Hockey Hall of Fame class. They're all getting inducted. And there's 3 guys in that class that at least myself and I think you guys, maybe not for John, there's another guy in the class, Alex McGillney. But Joe Thornton, Zdeno Chara, Duncan Keith, like just pillars of the last era of hockey. I mean, you look at Joe Thornton and Duncan Keith and what they did for Canada. You look at Zdeno Chara, just like one of the biggest and best captains to really play hockey.
One of the most intimidating players in
arguably
NHL
the most
history.
unique player in history with how massive he was.
Yeah, it was like a basketball player playing hockey. Basically, is what he was.
Quite literally,
It was pretty cool to see. And you know, when guys go into the Hall of Fame, for the most part, you know, if they've bounced around and stuff, there's always debate. Oh, what team are they going to be on? You know. Like a bad example, it's not a hockey example, but you look at a guy like Mookie Betts, who's won multiple World Series. Dodgers,
Freddie Freeman,
Red Sox. Freddie Freeman's a huge contested one. Hockey's a little bit less because guys like to stay home. But these guys going in, they all have stops in different places. So all I'm gonna have you guys do, there's 7 teams here. I'm not gonna tell you, oh, this team there, but you guys are gonna go around and whoever can get to 3 teams first that these guys played for gets the point. So that's aside from
their mainstay.
Yes.
Okay. Sure.
The Boston Bruins, which Zdeno Chara goes into the Hall of Fame of. The San Jose Sharks for Joe Thornton. And, of course, the Chicago Blackhawks for Duncan Keith. I think I'm going to let John start.
Oh,
just
geez.
because of Josh's incredible track record.
Yeah, you do need to give me the head start.
And go
here,
this
you're
way.
right.
So there's 7 teams amongst these 3 guys that they've also played on. Can you tell me one of them?
Oh, Boston Bruins.
Boston Bruins for
For Thornton.
Joe Thornton, Boston Bruins. Yeah, I think that's probably the most obvious one. Point for John. Kyle.
Let's stay with Joe Thornton, Toronto Maple Leafs.
Toronto Maple Leafs. That's correct. 1-1. Josh.
Duncan Keith, Edmonton Oilers. How
Duncan
could we
Keith,
forget?
Edmonton Oilers. I thought that one might slip through the cracks. That's one of the couple teams here he's got a 1-year tenure with the Edmonton Oilers to end it. Don't know why he did that. Kind of made me think of his legacy a little bit different. All right, we got 4 teams left amongst these two guys. John.
Chara Islanders.
Chara Islanders is correct. 2 stops. He ended with them, and did he start? I think he started with them, right?
Yeah.
Yes, he was
for a
drafted by
little
them.
bit. Yeah, that's correct. 2 for John. Kyle.
Let's stick with Chara then. The Ottawa Senators.
Ottawa Senators.
Oh no, was he drafted by Ottawa or traded to Ottawa?
That's
No,
what-
he was traded to
Yeah,
Ottawa.
he was traded to Ottawa.
Or like
but
say Yashin trade, I believe.
Oh, nice.
he had Chara had a lot of years before he got to the Bruins.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that
Yeah,
until I
one
did
of the
this
best free
research.
agent signings, if
Yeah.
not the best free agent signing in NHL history.
Seriously. Yeah, Zdeno Chara,
Don't
Islanders
forget, the
and
Sens
Senators.
picked Wade Redden over Zdeno
Oof,
Chara.
That's crazy. Yeah. All right, 2-2. We got 2 teams left, Josh. Can you get one of them?
Sticking with Chara, Washington Capitals.
Washington Capitals,
good one.
Zdeno Chara is correct. Another 1-year
Weird
stint.
to say out loud.
Again, like these are teams where these guys are going to the Hall. I don't even know if these guys are thinking. Zdeno Chara's getting inducted. Does he think at all about his time in Washington? I don't think so. 2 points around. Ball is in John's court. One more team amongst the 3 guys. Do you know the player and what team it is?
Did you say a Thornton team?
I did.
Oh, so I think I know which one you picked. I obviously wasn't listening at that point.
I'll tell you, I
so now-
picked the Leafs.
Okay, that's what I was going to do. Okay, now I'm in real trouble here. Let's see. Chara's done. Keith is done, so it's a Thornton team.
Maybe.
San Jose,
Maybe not.
Toronto, Boston.
Give you 5.
Who else did he play for?
4, 3.
Detroit Red Wings, even though it's wrong.
Detroit Red Wings is wrong. We move to Kyle. I feel like you have it. Do you have it?
Oh, I got this in the
Ah,
bag. Right
Kyle's
division,
got
though.
it.
The Florida Panthers for Joe Thornton.
Oh, how did I miss?
Joe Thornton, Florida Panthers is correct. We got the chain out for Kyle.
I think that's a tie, is it? Or no,
No, yeah, you got
okay.
it. Yeah,
no,
you
it
got
came
three.
around. Okay, sorry.
Take it. Hey, you tried to,
My
to auction it
tiebreaker was
off.
going to be HC Davos for Joe Thornton,
Oh,
but I'll take that.
That would've been
Joe
awesome.
Thornton's in my bag, unfortunately. St. Thomas legend.
Yeah.
Near
up your-
where I'm home from. One of the best players of all time.
One of the best
very
personalities in NHL.
Unique, very
history,
unique
too.
player, Jumbo Joe. There's so much to love, and I can't wait for that Hall of Fame speech because it's going to be a banger.
It's going to be awesome. And you know what? As his career goes on, he's one of the, Joe Thornton, he needs that cup, whatever.
Yeah,
Now
never
look
got
at
it.
where we're at.
Tough
he's
timing on the Florida part, but
It is a tough
Yeah.
time, yes. But, he's a pillar, like I said, a pillar of this last generation. Stanley Cup or not, I think he kind of paves the way a little bit for the guys who, maybe Connor McDavid, the guys who you don't know if they're ever going to win the big one. Obviously, you can still get in and be a super.
one of the best playmakers of all time. And let's be thankful he never scored 4 goals in a game.
Yeah, that's a great point. So that was Top Shelf Trivia presented by Enterprise. A lot of fun with that as always. That concludes the episode. Had a lot of fun here doing these debates. You guys really brought it to the table, which I was happy to see.
was a good one.
I was happy to see you got the vibes up for sure. That's all the time that we have for this week's episode. Thank you for tuning in. Shout out to Josh for coming in and joining us here. Great for you guys to get in his face. It was really nice.
kidding.
way to introduce him here. But this has been Top Shelf presented by Enterprise. Don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you next Tuesday.